1 minute. अरहंत सिद्ध सुर उपाध्याय साधु सर्व अर्थ के प्रकाशी मांगलिक उपकारी है। तीन को स्वरूप जानी रागते भई जो भक्ति काय को नमाए स्तुति को उच्चारी है। धन्य धन्य तुम्ही से काज सब आज भयो कर चोरी बारंबार वंदना हमारी है। मंगल कल्याण सुख ऐसो हम चाहते ओ मेरी ऐसी दशा जैसी तुम धारी है। ओ मेरी ऐसी दशा जैसी तुम धारी है। So yesterday we had completed the reading of module number 7, but the explanation is pending. And before that, I would like to repeat module number 6, wherein ignorant beings are arguing, giving the reference of Niyam Sarji Granth, verse number 159, where it's mentioned that omniscient being knows and sees all from the conventional point of view. And from the real perspective, he sees and knows his soul only. So the problem started with this verse of Niyam Sar 159, number 159, wherein it is mentioned that the omniscient being knows and sees all non-self from the conventional point of view and self from the real point of view. This was the statement in verse number 159 of Niyam Sar. And then, 1 minute. And then they are given a reference of Samay Sarji, verse number 11, wherein it is said that conventional aspect is untrue. So here it was being said that the omniscient being knows non-self from conventional point of view. And then they connect it with verse number 11 of Samaisar, wherein it is mentioned that conventional point of view is untrue. So just because it is untrue, that means Kevli Bhagwan does not know non-self. This is the question, or this is the doubt in the minds of ignorant being. Okay. So now this is being explained in module number 7, which we already completed yesterday, the reading, but now I'm giving you the explanation. Yeah, page number 27. Yes. It says that conventional, no, that is done. It begins from here. Their reasoning, however, from here, the answer begins. Okay. Their reasoning, however, is faulty. Whose reasoning? The ignorant being's reasoning is faulty. For we can in a way accept that when one does not know non-self, one also does not know its future course. That is quite possible. When you don't know non-self, non-self means par and self means swa par. Okay. So when one does not know non-self, he does not know its future only, right? Because when he does not know non-self, how does it know its future? So this is quite correct. But how will they prove that such a being does not know his own future, self's future? As such, it remains unproved that they do not know the future course of events. So this is the first argument that they are giving. The second is the next paragraph. The second very important thing is that those holding such views means ignorant being, have not concentrated themselves on the essence of the matter. So now what is the essence of the matter? So when they say that omniscient being knows all non-self from conventional point of view, and the from the real point of view, he knows his own soul. So here the definition that has been referred, because there are four definitions of real point of view and conventional point of view. I'll just take reference from Vitrag Vigyan part 3, chapter number 8, real and conventional view. So the first one definition was true description is real and imposed exposition is conventional. The second one was to express the intrinsic attribute of a substance as that only is real perspective, and to impose the attribute of other substance on the same is conventional description. The third definition was to regard the activity of a substance as its own is the real perspective, and to regard the same as of other is called conventional perspective. And the fourth one was conventional perspective describes substance mixing the self and its activities and causes with non-self. So it mixes self with non-self, its activity, its causes. To regard it as real is wrong faith, and as such it is to be abandoned. The real perspective exposes the elements as they intrinsically are and does not mix them with one another. So these four definitions, from this they have taken this definition that स्व आश्रितो निश्चय and parasrito vyavhar. Okay. So from this angle, verse number 159 of Niyam Sar is being described from this perspective, that whatever statements are given based on the self are all real point of view, and whatever the statements are based depending on the non-self, okay, are conventional. It's given in the next paragraph. So what is this matter, right? So if you consider this definition, then 159th verse, whatever has been described is absolutely correct. Now what they have done is they have connected this to the Samaisar verse number 11, wherein it is said that conventional aspect is untrue. So since conventional aspect is untrue, that means Kevali Bhagwan does not know non-self entities. That is what they have derived, which is quite wrong. Okay, because the definition that is being followed in that 159th verse was depending on the self, the real perspective emerges, and depending on others, the conventional perspective emergence. Okay, so this was the basic difference. Now this was the matter, this is the essence of the matter. If the previous assertion are viewed from all perspective, everything becomes very clear. Okay, so this was this. All the above prepositions are based on the principle swa asrito nischay. Take it further up. All the above prepositions, not this way, this side. Down. 1 minute. All the above prepositions are based on the principle swa asrito nischay, parasrito vyavhar. Prepositions depending on the self are real, while depending on non-self are conventional. This was the definition that was followed in 159th verse of Niyam Sar, and they connected it with the definition from Samay Sar, and that's why the whole doubt and misunderstanding has cropped up. Okay, so this is the reason. Whatever assertion related to the self is real, and whatever depends on others is conventional. As such, that Kevali Bhagwan sees and knows his own soul is real assertion, while that he sees and knows others means non-self, is conventional assertion. This is the substance of the above statement. Okay, that he knows non-self entities from conventional aspect does not mean that he does not actually know them. Okay, he knows non-self from conventional perspective, from conventional point of view, and that does not mean that he does not know, he does not actually know them. So here is the mistake. So if you refer this verse number 159 to 169, everything will be clear. And next page now. Acharya Jaisen in Tatparya Vritti of verse 39, it is 39 and not 19. You can do a correction. I have done correction in my printout. Just as Kevali Bhagwan knows non-self substance and their modification as sentience only. Just they know. Non-self, they just know, and that is the conventional point of view. And from the intrinsic point of view, that is real point of view, he mingles himself. He mingles himself means he engrossed in himself. He is always engrossed in his self with the pure soul, which is all bliss. In the same manner, learned person, samyak drashti, right believer, though no non-self substance attributes and modification from the conventional point of view, from the intrinsic point of view or the real point of view, enjoy the experience of the pure soul as its modification only. Okay. So even a learned person or a right believer also knows self from real point of view and non-self from the conventional point of view. But that does not mean that the right believer does not know non-self. Okay. So this is the logic that also applies to Kevali Bhagwan. Okay. According to the above statement, now this is explained here. According to the above statement, in reality, Kevali Bhagwan knows only himself, real point of view, not non-self entities in this manner. If the knowledge of the non-self entities by Kevali Bhagwan is considered untrue, then we shall have to accept the knowing of non-self substance by persons with correct faith, right believer, also as untrue. This, however, is evidently established that all the learned scholar, all the right believer knows non-self. It is not like that they know only their own soul only. Because the nature, basic nature of knowledge is to know self and non-self. Gyan is swapar prakashak. It also knows self and non-self. This is the nature of knowledge attribute. ज्ञान गुण का कार्य ही है कि वो स्व और पर को जाने, स्व को भी जाने, पर को भी जाने. It is hoped you do not accept as untrue the knowing of non-self by persons with correct faith. Okay. So this is quite evident, and from this we can conclude similarly, Kevali Bhagwan also knows the self from the real point of view and non-self from the conventional point of view. Okay. We had also studied this in Tattvagyan part 1. 1 minute, not part 1, then sorry. It will be part 2. If I can get, yeah. Mahavirashtak. Tattvagyan Pathmala 1, Pathmala 2, chapter 1. Mahavirashtak Stotra. In this verse, Not this one. No, not this one. Some other stotra, I think. Sakal Gneg Tadapi Nijanand Rasleen. Although the omniscient knows all the substances of the universe with all its three divisions of time, past, present, and future. But in reality, he is absorbed in himself. Nijananda Rasleen. So here it explains the nature of the knowledge. Knowledge is always swapar prakashak, self and non-self. He knows self and non-self. Okay, that is the basic nature of knowledge. So similarly, Kevli Bhagwan also knows himself from the real point of view and also knows non-self from the conventional point of view. There is no contradiction anywhere here. So the conclusion from this all statement is that you have to understand whatever is written in our scriptures from the perspective from which it is being said. You cannot mix other perspective there. If you mix other perspectives, then you will not be able to comprehend the true essence of the matter. And that's where people generally do mistakes. Srimad ji had written in Atma Siddhi, Jaja JJ Yogya Te, Jaja JJ Yogya हाँ ज्या ज्या जे जे योग्य त्या त्या समझबूत ते. Okay, so this is the sign of an Atmarthi that he understands from which perspective it is being said. Now, if you add another perspective to the same statement, the meaning will change. Okay, and that's what happened here, and that's why so much of doubt has been created, and they are also giving reference of our scriptures only from Niyam Sar and from Samay Sar, and they're mixing all the perspectives, and that's why the confusion has been created. Okay, but we have understood now that it is all very clear. There is no contradiction of any sort anywhere. Okay. Uh, So this was Acharya Jaisen, right? Now the second point. Kevli Bhagwan knows himself as one and the same. Knows himself as one and the same. It means that Kevli Bhagwan knows himself completely engrossed in self. Completely engrossed himself. Okay. Completely engrossed in self. Kevli Bhagwan knows self in what way? Completely engrossed. And when he knows non-self, he is not engrossed in it. But he knows non-self also, but does not hold it as part and parcel of himself. Okay. So this is the meaning of that statement. Okay. So this is the second reason. In Hindi, the word used is tanmay. Tanmay. केवली भगवान स्व को तन्मय होकर जानते हैं एंड पर को तन्मय होकर नहीं जानते हैं. And just because he does not know the self by engrossing in himself, that is because it is called conventional point of view. For this reason also, his knowing of non-self is regarded as from the conventional point of view. Okay. So where the conventional point of view will come and from which perspective, that we need to be very clear to understand this confusion. The following commentary of Paramatam Prakash chapter 1 verse 82 is very clear. Question. If Kevli Bhagwan knows non-self substance from the conventional aspect only, then his omniscience, okay, should sarvagnata. Omniscience means sarvagnata, the one who knows all the things. Then his omniscience should also be deemed to be such from the conventional aspect, not real one. Again, this argument, okay? Answer. It has been called conventional because just as Kevli knows the self as part and parcel of his own being, okay, as part and parcel of his own being means he knows the self by engrossing in himself. तन्मय होकर जानते हैं self को. He does not know non-self like that. Not that he lacks the sentience of non-self. Okay. He knows the non-self, but he is not engrossed in that. Okay. The non-self is reflected in his knowledge because of par prakashak of Gyan. Okay. So Gyan also knows self and non-self. So the knowledge knows the self and the non-self. And Kevli Bhagwan knows the self engrossingly and knows the non-self not engrossingly. And that's why, and not that he lacks the sentience of non-self. And that does not mean he does not know the non-self. He knows the non-self, but he is not engrossed in it. Okay. It is automatically reflected in his complete knowledge. If he knew non-self with the same affinity as with his own self, same affinity means by engrossing in himself, then he would have been happy or sad, otherwise means sad, by knowing the pleasures and miseries of others. Okay. So if he would have been engrossed on the non-self part, then he would be experiencing pleasure and pain because he can see everything, all the sufferings that the human beings, or not only human beings, all the living beings of the universe are going through, because his knowledge is complete knowledge and he knows everything, each and everything. Nothing becomes unknown to him. Okay. So if he is engrossed in the non-self, then he will experience pleasure and pain. And that is not so, because Kevli Bhagwan has destroyed all his obscuring karmas, all the four aghati, all the four ghati karmas. Okay. All the four obscuring karmas. And that's why he has manifested complete passionless. Okay. There is not a iota of passion left in Kevli Bhagwan's modification. Okay. By knowing the pleasures and miseries of others, and would have himself become attached or averse to non-self. Okay. Knowing their attachments and aversions, which fact would have been a great fault. So it is not acceptable. So the conclusion is that omniscient being knows the self, engrossed in himself, and knows the non-self, not engrossed in them. That's all. Okay. This is what they wanted to clear. Now we will move on to the eighth one. Tarkic Chakra Chudamani. Okay. Acharya Samand Bhadra. This is where the eighth module starts. Okay. Just read the whole module. It ends at next page, second paragraph, and do not happen anew. Yeah, it ends here. Okay. So the full module number 8, who will read yesterday? Priyanka ji. Yeah. Your voice is breaking. Just see the network.
Yeah, can you hear me better, sir, now?
Yeah. Now it's good. Yeah.
Okay. I salute.
No. Tarkic Chakra Chudamani. Little above that. One para above that.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hi, sir.
Yeah.
So from I salute.
No. Tarkic
Tarkic Chakra. Okay.
Yeah.
Tarkic Chakra Chudamani Acharya Samanta Bhadra in the benedictory verse of the Ratnakaran Shravakachar so describes the fact of reflection in the sentience of Mahavir Bhagwan, all the universe, including non-universe. I salute that Bhagwan Mahavir, in the mirror of whose consciousness the three words including Alokakash are reflected, and who has washed off the blemish of sins like the knowledge obstruction karmas. Thus, from the strong authorities of the stalwart acharyas of Jain philosophy like Kund, Kartikeya, Samantabhadra, Uma Swami, Pujyapad, Veer Sen, Amrita Chandra, Ravi Sen, omniscience and the consciousness of all the three time divisions, the past, the present, and the future, stand established automatically. Even in the face of strong authoritative assertions of so many acharyas, people insist on knowing names of the scriptures containing acceptance of sequence-bound modification of substances. I have to say that there is no scripture which does not contain acceptance of this great truth. All the four Anuyogs and even our texts of worship contain references to sequence-bound modifications on every step. In the circle of luster round the face of Tirthankar Bhagwan are reflected 7 lives of the beings who would definitely attain Nirvana. Out of these 7 lives, there are the past ones and the 3 of the future, and the remaining the present life phase. Accordingly, at least 3 lives of the Bhavyas are definitely fixed. Otherwise, how could they be seen? The age of 3 lives cannot be settled altogether. Therefore, it can also be not held that with the settling of the age karma, the life phases were determined. It naturally follows that they are predetermined and do not happen anew.
Stop. So this is the end of the module 8. So the reference given of Acharya Samanbhadra, he was regarded as Tarkik Chakra Chudamani. Tarkik Chakra means the one who has got the strongest of logical power. And through this logical power, he defeated scholars of other religions and defeated them. And uh, in earlier times, it used to be like that whoever gets defeated will accept the religion of the winner. So Samanbhadra Swami did so much of spread the religion of Jainism far and wide, through his logical power. He used to enter into debate with scholars of other religious sects and used to defeat them, and they have to accept Jainism. And this way, he is also called Kalikal Sarvagna. Okay. Kalikal Sarvagna means omniscient of the, this is fifth era is considered to be a Kalikal. Okay. This is not the time where people are getting liberated. Okay. So he is labeled as the Kalikal Sarvagna. So that much respect Acharya Samanbhadra got because of his debating power. Okay. And debating power, that means he was given the title of Tarkik Chakra Chudamani, crown of the logical power. Acharya Samanbhadra, in the benedictory verse of the Ratnakaran Savakachar, the first verse, okay, Manglacharan, so describes the fact of reflection in the sentience of Mahavir Bhagavan. All the universe, including non-universe, are getting reflected. Nama Sri Vardhamanai. Vardhaman means Mahavir Swami. Nama means I bow to Sri Vardhaman Swami. Nirdut Kalilatmane. Salokana Trilokanam Yad Vidya Darpanayate. Darpan means mirror. I salute that Bhagwan Mahavir in the mirror of whose mirror? The knowledge mirror of Bhagwan Mahavir, in whose consciousness the 3 worlds, okay, upper world, middle world, and the lower world, including Alokakash, are reflected. So in the first verse, they are bowing to the omniscient knowledge of Bhagwan Mahavir. And that knowledge is so pure that all the three worlds, all the substances of the three worlds are reflected in his knowledge mirror, and who has washed off the blemish of sins like the knowledge obstruction karmas. All the four ghati karma has been destroyed. Okay. Obstructive karmas has been destroyed. In Hindi it is called जिनके केवल ज्ञान रूपी दर्पण में अलोकाकाश सहित तीनों लोग झलकते हैं, और जिन्होंने ज्ञानावरणादि पाप रूपी मैल को धो डाला है, उन वर्धमान भगवान को नमस्कार हो. He has washed off the blemishes of sins like the knowledge obstruction karmas. Thus, from the strong authorities of the stalwart acharyas of Jain philosophy like Kunkunda Acharya Dev ji, कार्तिकेय स्वामी जी, समंत भद्र आचार्य जी, उमा स्वामी आचार्य जी, पूज्यपाद स्वामी जी, वीरसेन स्वामी जी, अमृत चंद्र आचार्य देव जी, रविशेण आचार्य जी, omniscience and the consciousness of all the three time divisions, the past, present, and the future, stand established automatically. So these are the references we considered from when we were describing the omniscient knowledge. Okay. Even in the face of strong authoritative assertion of so many acharyas, people insist on knowing the names of the scripture containing acceptance of sequence bound modification of substance. So still people ask where it is mentioned in the Jain literature about Krambad Paryay. There are so many references given, and still they are still not able to accept this principle of sequence bound modification. I have to say, that means Bharilji is saying that I have to say that there is no scripture which does not contain acceptance of this great truth. What is that great truth? Sequence bound modification of substances. All the four exposition, anuyog means exposition, and even our text of worship contain references to sequence bound modification on every step. So this is the first example. Now we will discuss sequence bound modification from the perspective of four exposition. So this is first one, Prathman Yog. भामंडल की दूती जगमगात, भवि देखत निज भाव साथ साथ. So one who goes into the holy assembly, Samosaran, okay, and he has to be a Bhavya Jeev, the one who has the potential to get liberated. Okay. So when he goes there to see the Tirthankar Bhagwan, and behind that Tirthankar Bhagwan, there is a Bhamandal. Okay. Round shape, one object is there. It is called Bhamandal. And when he sees in that Bhamandal, he can see his past three lives, what he was immediately before, then before to that, and then before to that. And he sees his present life also. And he sees his three future life also. Now, the logic is, if the sequence bound modification of this particular soul was not fixed, then how his future life would have been shown in the Bhamandal, right? Very logical example given here from Prathman Yoga. Okay. So, तीर्थंकर भगवान के प्रभा मंडल में भव्य जीव, okay, only those beings who are capable of manifesting, who are capable of getting liberated, those are called भव्य जीव. Okay. भव्य जीव को अपने अपने सात सात भव दिखाई देते हैं. उन सात भवों में तीन भूतकाल के, तीन भविष्य के एवं एक वर्तमान भव दिखाई देता है. So now we'll read the English one. Okay. Thus, even in the face of, no, this one is done. In the circle of luster, okay, Bhamandal. In the circle of luster means Bhamandal. Round the face of Tirthankar Bhagwan are reflected seven lives of the being who would definitely attain nirvana. Because he is a Bhavya Jeev, so he is going to definitely get liberated. Out of the 7 lives, three are the past one and the 3 of the future, and the remaining the present life phase. Okay. So now if this life were not fixed, how it would reflect? So this is also proving sequence bound modification principle. Okay. So this is from Prathama Niyog. This is the first example. Next paragraph. Accordingly, at least 3 lives of the behaviors are definitely fixed. Okay. Otherwise, how could they be seen? The age of 3 lives cannot be settled altogether because the Ayuband happens only in the previous birth. And that's why it is advised that always try to be in Shubh Bhav. Because if you are in Ashubh Bhav and your next life bondage happens, then you will get the life according to your present sentiments. Okay. So if you are in auspicious sentiments, you will go in a very good place. If you are in inauspicious sentiments, you will go in a worst place. Okay. Not a good place. Now, how this bondage of next birth happens, it is given in Karnani Yoga that suppose a person has a life of 81 years. Okay. So when his 2/3 life has passed, there is a chance of bondage of age. Okay. So 81 years, so 2/3 gone is when he is 54 year, that is the first chance where he can bound his next life. If it does not happen, then whatever remains, so how many remain? 27 years remain. Now again 2/3 of that. Okay. So 18 goes off. So 54 plus 18, 64, 72. Again 72, he will get another chance for bondage of the next birth. Now this does not happen, then again 2/3 again will pass, and then again there will be another chance. So 9 was left. So 2/3 of 9 is 6. So again after 6 years, so 62, no, 72 plus 6. At 78, he will have a third attempt. Then similarly, 4th, 5th, 7th, there will be, I think, 7 or 9. So there will be 7 or 9 attempts, and if still the age for the next life is not bound, then the last 48 minutes of his life, he will bind the next life. So that is why people who are on deathbed, their relatives chant Namokar mantra and also good verses from good famous scripts like Samaysar, Bhaktamar, Niyamsar, Pravachansar, because they know that if the bondage has not happened earlier, then this is the time his next life bondage will happen. And since he will be in auspicious sentiment, he will get a good life. So that is the logic, behind bondage of age, Ayu Karma. Okay. So, so how can then one know the next 3 lives? Because life only binds, the bondage of age happens only in the previous birth. So the next 2 births, the bondage has not happened now. So how it is reflecting in the Bhamandal? That means even if it has not been bound, but it is still reflecting, and that proves that everything is sequence bound. Okay. Accordingly, at least 3 lives of the Bhavyas are definitely fixed. Otherwise, how could they be seen? The age of 3 lives cannot be settled altogether, and that's why I explained so much. Therefore, it can also be not held that with the settling of the age karma, the life phase were determined. It naturally follows that they are predetermined. and do not happen anew. Okay, it is predetermined. Now, from Pratman Yoga, this is the 9th module we are starting now. Uh, there will be 4 examples given here. One already we had seen about the Bhavamandal, then 4 examples given here. And after 4 Anuyogs, after 4 exposition, we will see another example from the Pratman Yoga. So in total, there are 6 examples given for Pratmanu Yoga. You note down all this, and my idea is to give you concept clarity on this particular topic for sequence bound modification from the point of view of 4 exposition. This is one part of the concept clarity. The other part will be about the efforts. And that efforts part, we will do it later on when the topic will come up. Okay. And that is the most important part. So I will give you concept clarity only on 2 topics. Prove sequence bound modification from 4 exposition, and what is the role of effort in the principle of sequence bound modification. Okay. So these 2 are your CC2 Krambad Paryay. Hope you are settled and you can start writing from 4 exposition today itself. Okay. Now we'll read the 9th module. In the 9th module, from the Pratman Yoga Shastras, Bhagwan Neminath's example of Dwarka, burning of Dwarka is given. Okay. And that whole 9th module, I think, first example, only the first example is covered in the 9th module. So just read, who will read? Rajeshri ji, you read.
Pratmanu Yoga Shastras are full of definite declarations of the futurity. Bhagwan Neminath had foretold 12 years back the fact of the extinction by burning of Dwarika. It was also stated clearly how, when, and with what instruments the events would happen. In spite of all efforts otherwise, the course of events followed exactly like that which was declared by the Lord. However, there were different reactions of persons according to their own futurity. Those who held fortunate modifications.
Futurity means destiny. Okay.
Those who held fortunate modifications in the future renounced the world. Many accepted the order of Digambar Jain monks. Many others accepted Anuvrats. Many adopted right faith, but those who were destined to go to the miserable phases of life thought of undoing what Bhagwan Neminath had foretold. They started plans to save Dwarika from being reduced to ashes. It appeared as if they had devoted all the efforts in proving untrue what the Lord had declared in his divine discourse. Bhagwan, however, had only asserted whatever he had seen and known in his omniscience, and he was not a creator of modifications in substances. The voice of the Lord are mentioned, the instrumental causes along the inherent ability of the substance itself. But those who look to the instrumental causes only did not consider the intrinsic abilities and potentialities of substances. They started removing the instrumental causes and thus began to consider themselves safe from the in, independent destruction. But those who relied on the instrumental causes of the events did not have full faith in omniscience. Their vision was blurred, not that they had no faith in the voice of the Lord. If they had no faith in it, there was no cause for fear and confusion. Why did they try vainly to avoid the disaster? They had faith, but it was not strong enough. They knew that whatever the Lord had said will happen, but they were not definite about it. Their faith was wavering. Those who are destined to face misfortunes do not have faith even in the omniscient. Only those whose worlds have become limited understand and have faith in the omniscience of the soul. The divine voice of the Lord proclaimed that Dwarika will be burnt after 12 years. And those whose faith was shaky felt that the Lord will burn Dwarika and turn it into ashes, when the Lord had absolutely nothing to do with it. He was completely detached and had no attachment or aversion towards anybody. As such, the question of Bhagwan Neminath burning Dwarika does not arise. He was, however, an omniscient being. He knew and saw whatever would happen in future as if in the present. Thus he saw Dwarika burning that very time. The flames that will rise from the fire of Dwarika were clearly discernible to him in that time. The event was very clearly narrated in his divine voice. Not only that he had not burnt it, nobody else had done it. In fact, it had the capability of being burnt at that time, at that very time of its extinction. The capability included the instrumental causes that would be present at the time of the event. There was nothing doing by any outside agency for the instrumental causes that were present there themselves did not did not like that Dwarika should be burnt and destroyed. The world does not understand this intrinsic, intrinsic potentiality of the self, and such is the world's the own natural course of working is not understood by this world.
Yeah, this is the end of the example first and the end of module 9. Okay. So you mark it everywhere. This is end of module 9. Okay. And in this example, very clear that 12 years ago, in the divine discourse of Bhagwan Neminath, who was a Tirthankar there, and he can see that Dwarka burning after 12 years in as it is being done in the present. Okay. Because the omniscient knowledge knows all things in the present, past, future, and present modifications of all substance of the universe. Okay. And he also knew what would be the instrumental cause and what would be the principal cause. And that Dipayan Muni, the one who burnt through whom the Dwarka was burnt, uh, through, through whose instrumental cause the Dwarka was burned, what he did, um, he thought that let me go somewhere else so this Dwarka will not burn. And he went to some other place for 12 years. And while he was coming back, that was a leap year. And he didn't realize that this is a leap year. And he thought that 12 months has passed and Dwarka is not burned. So all that prediction was false and now nothing will happen. So he came back. But it was a leap year. So there was 1 month extra. And in that 1 month, everything happened. And as it was said in the omniscient knowledge of Neminath Bhagwan, similar things happened, even in spite of their efforts to avoid that calamity, that adverse situation, everything happened as planned. Nobody's efforts worked in the right direction. Okay. But those who were those who believed in the knowledge of omniscience, they started, some took to asceticism, some became monks, and some became uh, war holder of fifth stage, some became samyak drashti, those who were uh, those who believed in the knowledge of omniscience, they did all these things. And those who didn't believe, they tried to avoid that tragedy. But nothing worked and that tragedy happened and whole Dwarka was burned to ashes. And only, I think, 2 people survived, right? So this was the first example. Now the second example is module number 10. The next page, Bhagwan Adinath. Okay. It is only, sorry. This is module. Okay.
Sir, excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
It was Adhik Mas or leap year is only 1 day extra. It must be Adhik Mas.
Sorry.
Uh,
Adhik
Adhik
Mas. Yeah.
Mas.
It was 1 month, whole
Yeah.
1 month.
So Adhik
Uh,
Mas,
okay,
Adhik
Adhik
Mas,
Mas.
which we say in
Yeah,
Hindi.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry. Not a leap year, but Adhik Mas, right? Yeah. So 1 month was extra in that year particular. But I think, yeah, leap year, it is 1 day extra, but this is something in Hindi calendar that is called Adhik Mas. And because of that, but that Adhik Mas also happens in a leap year only. Okay. So in Hindi, it is called Adhik Mas, and I think in English it is leap year, but I will check it out, that one. Okay. So the ninth module does not end here. It continues the second example, then third example, then fourth example, then the ninth module ends. Okay. So it was my mistake. Now just correct it. So ninth module continues, and Subhaji, you read the next three examples in the next three paragraphs.
Jai Jinendra ji.
Yeah. Bhagwan
Bhagwan
Adinath.
Adinath had foretold all the events of the lives of Marichi to the extent of one Koda Kodi Sagar, which is an infinitely long period. Do you hold in doubt the truth of those happenings? Was it not all predetermined? Innumerable lives before, it was it was foretold that he would become the 24th Tirthankar. Tirthankar Prakriti was not then associated with his life, for the number of his life phases cannot be innumerable after the association of Tirthankar Prakriti. With Tirthankar Prakriti settled in the soul, it achieves nirvana in the same life or at the most in the third one. As such, it cannot be said that due to the settling of the karma with the soul, as much futurity of this his soul was fixed. All this only proves that it was certain in the lifetime of Adinath Bhagavan that Marichi will become the 24th Tirthankar. When the future life event of 24th Tirthankar was predetermined, the lives in between were also predetermined. It was then only that they could be known and foretold. Tilai Panati, chapter 4, verses 1002 to 1016, clearly refer to the knowledge of future events with the help of Nimitta Gyan. Acharya Bhadrabahu had foretold the event of 12-year feminine in northern Bharat that came out to be completely true. Monarch Chandragupta had seen some dreams which formed the basis of the declaration of a number of future events.
Stop. So here is the end of the ninth module. So the second example is of Bhagwan Adinath, okay, that we all know about. And the third example is from Tilloi Panatti, okay, future events. So Muniraj had this Nimit Gyan. Some of the Muniraj have Nimit Gyan, and one day they had gone for taking his arms in a householder's place, and there was a small kid of maybe 1 month or 2 months, okay, and he started crying, and with that cry, the monk knew that what is going to happen, and that is called Nimit Gyani. So this monks who has got Nimit Gyan, they come to know of the future events with the help of small things like this. Okay. So that is also in third example. The fourth example is of Acharya Bhadrava Swami, who had foretold the event of 12 years famine, okay, in northern Bharat, and that came out to be completely true. Okay. So who believed those predictions, they went towards south because they knew that there will be famine. So if there is a famine, the householder himself will not have food to eat. So how they can offer it to the monk? And if they don't offer food to the monk, then how monk will survive? So those who were very wise and intelligent, they moved towards the South India. Okay. And those who didn't believe, they remained there. And ultimately, these things happened. The famine came, and there was no food to eat. So the monk had to resort to take patra with them, because in between the uh, people will fetch food from one another, because there was famine, there was no food available. So this is how the Svetambar parampara started after Bhadrabhahu Swami's predictions. Okay, and this is where the Svetambar has come up. Originally, there was only one religion, and that is Digambar Jain Dharma from Bhagwan Mahavir. Okay, so this was the fourth example of Pratman Yoga, Acharya Bhadrabhahu's predictions. Okay, then there is one more example of monarch Chandragupta. He had seen 16 dreams, 16 sapne, which form the basis of the declaration of a number of future events, and that all events were also true. Okay, so this you can refer as the fifth example. Sixth example was the first one of Bhamandal, and one more example will come of Bharat Chakravarti's son. Okay, so all this proves from Pratman Yoga that sequence bound modification principle is very true and worth accepting. Okay, so these are the examples of Pratman Yoga. Now moving on to the second one, Karnan Yoga. Okay, that is module 10. Do not Karnan Yoga scriptures mention? That starts the module number 10, and first paragraph is example 1, second paragraph is example 2, third paragraph is example 3, and the fourth paragraph is again the conclusion, and that is where the 10th module ends. So we have still 15 minutes to go. So we will complete this Karnan Yoga, and who will read now? Darshit ji, you read.
Jai Jinendra. The Lord Karnanyog scriptures mention that 608 creatures will come out of their Nigodh existence in 6 months and 8 samays, and the same number will attain Nirvan during the equal period. Can more creatures leave Nigodh and attain Nirvan? Is that not definite? If this is so, does this not impair the independence of the nature of things? Why will only so many and no more creatures obtain the supreme bliss? Karnanyog mentions fixed number of the creatures in the 4 phases of life, and they do not increase or decrease. If everything is not predetermined, the number of hellish and heavenly creatures should vary in accordance with their merits and demerits. Karnanyog also mentions that this creature leaves Nitya Nigodh for 2000 sagas only. Out of those, he assumes a fixed number of 1 sense lives, 2 sense lives, 3 sense lives, 4 sense lives, and 48 lives only of the human phase. What is all this? Do we not arrive at the conclusion that the numbers of the 4 phases of life are definite, as also their life courses and their order of happening? How otherwise the scheme of things takes its shape? Then there would be a crowd in one place, while other places will remain vacant. But it does not happen like that. People feel that
Stop. So this is the end of 10th module. Okay, Karnan Yoga. We have seen 3 examples. One is that 608 creatures come out of Nigodh, and same number of people get liberated. Now this number is fixed. So if the events are not fixed, how these numbers will come? So that also proves that from Karnan Yoga also, the sequence bound modification principle is absolutely true. Then there are fixed numbers of creature in each 4 phases of the life. Now these figures cannot change, and that also proves that everything is predetermined. Okay. That the third example also mentioned that this creatures lives Nitya Nigodh for 2000 sagar years. Okay. 2000 sagas. One sagar is such a huge period of time. Out of this, he assumes 1 minute. he assumes a X number of lives in 2 sense being, 3 sense being, 4 sense being, and the number of lives in a human being are also fixed at 48. Out of this 48, 16 will be male, 16 female, and 16 neutral gender. Okay, Napunsak. So all these figures are fixed. So this also proves that everything is predetermined. Otherwise, how many, this number of lives, how can it be fixed if it is not predetermined? Okay. So all this is reflected in the knowledge of the omniscience, and omniscience are not the doer of this nature of things. These things only reflect in his complete knowledge, and that comes out of his divine voice. All these predictions has come through his divine voice, and that is how it happens. And this proves that everything is prefixed. Okay. So we conclude the conclusion that the number of 4 phases of life are definite, as also their life courses and their order of happening. How otherwise the scheme of things takes its shape? Then there would be a crowd in one place. So in one of the phases of life, there will be concentration of more lives in that phase and some less in that, but that does not happen. Everything is very fixed and it happens in that manner only. Okay. So this was the end of the 10th module. Now there is a discussion that our sentiments of merits and demerits are also fixed, and that means there is nothing in our hand. We cannot change our inauspicious thoughts. We cannot bring auspicious thoughts. All these are fixed, or what? That is the argument given, and that will be the point of discussion of our next module, which is module number 11. Okay, so still we have time. 10 minutes are left, so we will see this module also. Okay, who will read now?
Sorry, sir.
Jinali ji, you read. You will be able to read?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
People feel that the real religion apart is not doing merits and demerits also in our own hands. We are totally bound. To these, I have to tell that meritorious inclinations and demerits change of their own, for change on their own. For none of the two can last for more than an antarmurat. As such, change in antarmurat is inevitable. You cannot stay in the meritorious modification for more than an antarmurat. If you do not touch the pure modification, it is inevitable that you would indulge in demerits. This change takes place even in Nigod. Those creatures also indulge in merits. How otherwise, however, otherwise could they come out of it? The merit of becoming 5 sense beings with mind is attracted in modifications without mental power and by 1 sense to 5 sense beings. Those sons of Bharat Chakravarti who left Nigod and leaving one life phase become sons of Chakravarti and attain Nirvana, had attracted merit bondage of human life phase and were born in the family of Chakravarti with last bodily frames in modification without mental power, with mental power only. But all this happened and could happen in its natural sequence. No wishful effort was responsible for all these changes. It has been said, freedom for following which meritorious inclinations you want, getting Tirthankar, Chakravarti or heavenly God's seats. When Tirthankars are 24 only, and they too are not together in one region, can two beings attract suitable Tirthankar Prakriti karmas? This has been said in relation to one religion, one region only. If you say that 170 Tirthankars can be at one and the same time in 2.5 islands, I have nothing to object to. But why 170 only? Why not 200? Why not? Why can 200 beings not attract such karmas together? The names of future 24 Tirthankars of Bharat Kshetra have been announced in Jain scriptures, along with the names of those who are to become Tirthankaras have also been proclaimed. All this was definite. Then alone it could be foretold. Can any other than those beings attract Tirthankar Prakriti karmic matter? If no, we all are declared to be unfit for 19 crore by crore sagars. You already know that this creature coming out of Nigodh stage stays in rasa modification for 2000 sagars only. If he does not attain nirvana within this period, he is bound to go to Nigodh again. Then there is no hope for him for an infinite time. If you say that if not in Bharat Kshetra, you will become Tirthankan in Eravat or Vidhe Kshetra. I have to remind you, when Tirthankar of Bharat Kshetra have been proclaimed, the names of Tirthankans of Eravat and Vidhe Kshetra must also have been declared. Scriptures there must have proclaimed the names there, as the scriptures have proclaimed names here. In the omniscience of Kevali Bhagwan, names of Tirthankars of infinite times have been proclaimed. There cannot be any departure from this. If somebody argues that if not the merit of being a Tirthankar, he will become a Chakravati, I say that the seats of Chakravati are still more limited. The number of Chakravatis in a period in which 24 Tirthankars exist is 12. When the number of Tirthankars are fixed, the same about Chakravatis must also be definite. The scriptures cannot proclaim each and every event by declaring the number of Tirthankars. It has generally been held that everything is definite. We need to know this truth alone. It is not necessary to know about the future events of all and sundry. Even if future events of all were to be proclaimed, how many shall one remember? All are not interested in others' future. Everybody wants to know his future only. Let alone Tirthankar or Chakravati, someone may argue that he would attract such merit as would send him to the heavens. There also you would go only if there are vacant seats. Heavenly creatures do not die untimely deaths. When a god or Indra reaches heavens, nobody else can attract merit to be born on that seat and life term of such gods or of sagars. Leave aside heavens. You cannot get a seat in the hells unless there is one vacant. Whatever the date of your reservation, you will get a seat then only in any phase of life. Things are like this according to Jain scriptures. It is another thing that you do not accept Jain scriptures themselves, but there is no way out of this situation. Then you will have to stop accepting so many things. Then you will not be able to accept Adinath or Mahavir. It would not be possible to accept 24 Tirthankaras and 12 Chakravatis, for all this has been accepted from Jain scriptures only. If scriptures are not true, everything else is immaterial. Have you ever considered what concepts you have accepted on the basis of scriptures? If they are not relied upon, heavens and hells are all gone. Only that which is in the field of the vision will remain true. I am sure you are not prepared to go to that extent. If there is some weight in my exposition, please consider that with the seriousness it deserves. When experts of Pratmanyu Yoga and Karnanyu Yoga also oppose the principle of sequence bound modification of substances, one cannot but wonder, for this great truth gets strong support at every step in above both Anuyogas. Likewise,
Stop. So this is the end of 11th module, and this is also a part of Karnan Yoga only, because merits and demerits karmas are all part of Karnan Yoga only. All karmas are related to Karnan Yoga. Okay. So we have seen that so this merits and demerits keeps on changing on its own every 48 minutes, called Antarmurat. Okay. So the one sense being moves to second sense being. There is no effort because there is no mind. One sense being has no mind, two sense being has no mind, three sense has no mind, four sense has no mind, five sense has no mind. And though five sense, there are two types of five sense being. One is with mind and without mind. So unless and until you have mind, there are no efforts that you can make. So all those without mind have only one way to go according to the karmas. And that karmas keeps on changing on its own. That is also not in our hands. Okay, this particular module tries to explain this, that punya and pap, merits and demerits, auspicious and inauspicious, that also are not according to our desires. That also happens independently. And for that, the examples are given that Bharat Chakravarti's 99 sons, how many? 99 sons of Bharat Chakravarti came out of Nigod and they became the sons of Chakravarti, and they took to monkhood. They never uttered a word and they got liberated. Now, the question is, if they were in Nigod, one sensed being, what would have they done to get this human life? There are no efforts there. So how this has been, how did they got the human life? Very interesting question and very thoughtful question. You must ponder on this question, that after every 48 minutes, the sentiments change from auspicious to inauspicious, inauspicious to auspicious. Nobody can have continuously auspicious sentiments for more than 48 minutes. Okay. And nobody can have inauspicious sentiments for more than 48 minutes. It changes automatically. And all these one sense, two sense, they don't have any efforts because there is no mind. So these all things are happening automatically, and that is the conclusion is that this merits and demerits or auspicious and inauspicious sentiments are also not in our hand. If one has to go to Nigod, he will have always that kind of sentiments, inauspicious sentiments that will lead him to Nigod. And one who wants to go to heaven, he will have auspicious sentiments automatically. Okay. There is no one doing anything for anyone. It is all happening independently in automotion mode. Similarly, the number of Tirthankars are also fixed. 24 Tirthankars are always there. There are 12 Chakravartis and these numbers are fixed. And that shows that everything is predetermined. Otherwise, how these figures will come? Then there is also one more thing in cosmology, that at any point of time, maximum Tirthankars could be 170 only. Okay. put together in the whole 2.5 islands. Dvaidip. Dvaidip में 170 तीर्थंकर से ज्यादा नहीं होते हैं, मैक्सिमम 170 at a time. Okay, but all in different regions, not in the same region. One Tirthakar in one region, but in different regions. Total is 170 and it is not 200. Okay, so that means that figure is also fixed. Okay, then similar to Bharat Kshetra, there are also fixed number of Tirthankars in Airavat Kshetra, in Videsh Kshetra. Now in Videsh Kshetra there are 20 Tirthankars, and all the names of the 20 Tirthankars are also given. So all this goes on to prove that everything is predetermined and things happen accordingly. There is nothing in anybody's hand that they can do or they can alter anything. And this proves that sequence bound modification of substance principle. So the seats of Chakravartis are fixed, 6 of Tirthankars are also fixed, and in no way you can change anything. You cannot make 13 Chakravarti and you cannot make 25 Tirthankar. All these are absolutely fixed. So these are some of the examples given. Nobody can proclaim everything because our limited knowledge, but so many examples goes on to prove that everything is predetermined and we have to believe in the principle of sequence bound modification. So this post are fixed, Chakravarti, Tirthankar. So that means the sentiments that they will manifest are also fixed. Nobody else can do those kind of sentiments to become a Chakravarti or a Tirthankar. Okay. So we have to believe, and all these facts have come into Jain scriptures only. And these scriptures are written by Acharyas, and Acharyas got knowledge from previous Acharyas, and previous Acharyas got knowledge from previous Acharyas, and those Acharyas got knowledge from Gandhar, and Gandhar got the knowledge from the Tirthankar. So the whole chain of predictions and whatever facts as seen in cosmology are all predetermined, and we have to accept this. If we don't accept this, we can have nothing as certain. Why there are 6 substances in the universe? Why not 7? Why there are 7 fundamentals only, and why there are not 12 fundamentals? All these are fixed and you have to accept it as it is. So everything has been taken from Jain scriptures, and all these scriptures are coming from the Tirthankar's voice. Okay. I think everything is clear. So here we end Pratman Yog and Karnan Yog. Okay. I am sure you are not prepared to go to that action. If there is some weight in my exposition, please consider that with the seriousness it deserves. When experts of Pratman Yoga and Karnan Yoga also oppose the principle of sequence-bound modification of substance, one cannot but wonder. For this great truth gets strong support at every step in above both Yogas. So we have covered Pratman Yoga and Karnan Yoga, and that is the end of the 11th module. And the next week, that is on Tuesday, I'm going to Sikharji, Samet Sikhar for 1 month. Next Sunday, this Sunday, I mean. So I'll be in Sikharji and I will conduct classes from there next Tuesday and Wednesday. Okay. And from there, we will cover now Charnan Yoga and Dravyan Yoga. How from Charnan Yoga we can prove sequence bound modification, and how from Dravyan Yoga we can prove sequence bound modification. Both are very interesting, and we will discuss it in the next week's class. Okay. So we end here on page 36. First, second, third paragraph. Okay. So you just do the marking, and next week we will continue. निज निधि निज में बताई, यह अनंत उपकार है, इसके लिए जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना सत बार है, उसके लिए जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना सत बार है। 9 बार नौकार मंत्र गिनेंगे। एंड टुडे आई सपोज वाज द लास्ट डे फॉर सम असाइनमेंट्स, राइट? Is it or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So it was what, CC1 or GM?
See, for CC1. GM was
CC1.
over long back. Yeah,
Okay.
GM was last month,
Yeah.
and this is
So-
CC1.
So I think how many, 2-3 people are still pending, I suppose, right? Anyway, they will cover up, but make it a point that most of you do submit. Those who are attending classes, they do submit on time, but those who are not attending, they are not able to catch up. Anyways, so we'll begin from next week, and I've given you homework for concept clarity 2. Okay. Somebody can put it in group. It will be very nice. And if you are not able to do it, then I will do it tomorrow. Okay.
So right now, if you can just repeat, we can write it.
Okay. So the first topic is sequence bound modification from the perspective of 4 expositions. You have to give examples on each expositions, and 2 of which we discussed. Pratmaniyog and Karnaniyog we discussed. Charnaniyog and Dravyaniyog we'll discuss next week. Okay. So this is one part of the CC2. The other part is what is the role of effort in the acceptance of sequence bound modification. Or you can take it this way also, that if everything is predetermined and fixed, then what is the true effort then, right? If I cannot change anything, then what is the true effort? Then how should we understand the effort? Okay. This question was asked by Jin Priyaji last week also. So this is the question. I think not last week, this week only, first class also. So these 2 are the topic of CC2. So one partly we have covered, and last date will come, but you can still start studying now. Okay. And once we finish the efforts part, then only your time frame of 21 days will start. But I've just given you a hint that you be